You're listening to the Lawyers with Purpose Practice Success podcast, hosted by Lisa Rozier, featuring attorney Dave Zampano, along with frequent guests. Whether you're a seasoned estate planning attorney, an attorney looking to add estate planning and elder law to your existing list of practice areas, or you're just starting out, this podcast will give you a solid plan for success. Listen now as Dave and his guests share their personal journeys to practice success and the insights they learned along the way.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lawyers with Purpose Practice Success podcast. I'm Lisa Rozier, here with Dave Zampano, and today we're going to be talking about who's and not house. Is that the proper way, Dave? We just got done. If you were listening to us in episode 3, we were really talking about the foundational elements that makes for a successful law firm, and you shared a ton of insight of how you innovated and create your systems and your processes and how your business grew. But what we didn't get into is you didn't do it alone, did you?
No.
Okay, let's talk about it, because I don't want everybody listening to the podcast going, how the heck did he do it? Is he Superman? Let's pull the layer back and figure out how you're
I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate. Everything in my life that I've ever envisioned that I could have, I've been able to have. And I'm not saying it's been a handout, and I'm not saying it's been easy, but it's been enjoyable and fun. And so when I think about that, the number one reason I think that enables someone to succeed is their mindset.
I agree.
And so we talked a little bit about that in the last podcast about, what's a mindset for success? So a couple things that I want to kind of highlight. When you think about mindset, when you think about anything, when I was young, I always tell this story. It was kind of a crazy analogy, but I think people relate to it. When I was in the 8th grade, I was 180 pounds. They used to call me Benny the Meatball. I was a little fat kid. But being, as I said in the last podcast, being the youngest of 10 kids and 8 were boys, I, like all my siblings, had to play football. So there I'd go. I went out for, football in middle school, and I was the last kid around the track. A little fat kid, couldn't even run around the darn track.
Oh my goodness.
And over time, though, by the time I was a senior in high school, I was the captain of the football team and an all-star. Okay, what happened, right?
Yeah.
Well, what happened was I got some good coaching along the way, right? And when we think about a coach is someone that helps you make corrections in your behaviors to get a better result. So I'm a person that I want to say, since 1999, I've been actively involved in coaching. It always started with one coach I started with, and then I eventually built to where I'm presently have 4 coaches. I have one coach. I use Strategic Coach. I've been with the longest. I've been associated with their coaching for over 20 years.
That's Dan Sullivan?
That's Dan Sullivan, Strategic Coach, and we'll talk a little bit about his who, not how concept. But their coaching has been entrepreneurial coaching. How do you take and create a future that you want, right? Mm-hmm. So that's been one type of a coach. Another organization I've been most recently involved with the last 4 or 5 years is Vistage. Vistage is a worldwide organization, and they're my operations coach. So as I was building my business, the vision that I created as Strategic Coach, I was using my coaches at Vistage to help me operationally manage my growth and understand how to become a better leader. A lot of those things I learned, I bring into, how we train people, lawyers, on how to be good leaders themselves. So how to be a good leader is a second type coach that I have. A third coach I have, someone named Paula, who you know well, and everyone. We all
love Paula.
Yeah, well, everyone in my organization who's in a leadership position is required to coach with Paula. And Paula is an investment I make in my employees and in myself. She's my personal coach. She keeps me set on my own personal standards to make sure that I'm being the person I want to be always in all areas of my life. And I'm fortunate to have a fourth coach, a spiritual coach, a priest. I'm a happy Catholic. And, I love the spiritual guidance I get from a priest who coaches me and keeping spiritually strong in a world, that's somewhat difficult to do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So coaches are great in all areas of our life, and I think they help us build the muscle called mindset, right? And I'm not saying everybody has to go out and get 4 coaches. I'm saying consider at each level that coaching element. So I think of the second thing of mindset, I think of the book by Carol Dweck, Dweck. She's an American psychologist, and she wrote a book called Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Anyone who has not read that, I strongly encourage that. I did a training for our members when that book was out, and I still use that training. We created some tools around it. What is your mindset? Are you a scarcity mindset, or are you an abundant mindset? And Carol talks about really all that. It's really a phenomenal book. I encourage you to read it. So mindset is really important, and identifying, what do we do with it? What role does mindset play in our lives? So talking about the practice of law, I think it plays a big mindset. Mindset plays a huge role on our confidence. Right? Yeah. And so what happens is you have a lawyer that goes to law school, learns the law, and nowhere in law school they teach you how to run a business. Now, I as I said in the last podcast, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. I went and became a CPA before I went back to law school, so I understood how.
They don't have practice management?
No. There might be a single course nowadays, but I know a lot of law schools now have JD MBAs, which is an MBA together with a law degree. But again, traditionally lawyers are focused on lawyering, and they're not focusing on running a business, but they feel that it's their job to run the business. The truth is they may not be qualified. So we can go like the books like the E-Myth, like we've talked about. But one of the best concepts I've ever had around this is the book Dan Sullivan wrote, really most recently in 2021. It was just released this year. He wrote it with Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's called Who, Not How, the formula to achieve bigger goals through accelerating teamwork. So Dan in Strategic Coach has been all about how entrepreneurs could build what's called self-managing companies, right? Where people manage themselves. Well, one of the greatest concepts, and again, that's a great book, The Who, Not How. Anyone, again, after you read Carol's book on mindset, then dig into Dan's, because what you have to do is give yourself permission as a lawyer to not have to know everything, okay? And then if we go back to the E-Myth conversation, decide what role you want to be. Do you want to be the entrepreneur? Do you want to be the technician, or do you want to be the manager? And embrace it. Embrace what strategic coach would call your unique ability is. Every one of us has a unique ability. How we know what it is we take it for granted. People will normally come to you for help in that area. If you ask 10 people, what do you think I do naturally? They'll all tell you the same thing, but you won't see it in yourself. And the concept of unique ability is amazing because it's what we do easily and we do it well. I forget I don't know if it was Good to Great or one of the other books where they talk about the 4 different types of activities. There's activities we're not good at, there's activities we're good at, and there's activities we're really good at or exceptional at, and then there's activities that are unique to us, right? So we want to be in the unique categories as often as possible, and in the exceptional. And we want to really delegate the good or not good areas to other people's, or it's their unique area, right? Imagine if everybody's working in their unique abilities and everybody's working in what's easy to them and what they do naturally. So if I, as a lawyer, could take the parts of running a practice that I hate. So my thing has always been, I hate holding people accountable. It makes my skin crawl. In fact, I don't do it. And that's been my downfall in businesses over the years, is I'm not good at holding people accountable.
At least you can acknowledge that. I mean, the first step.
Right. First, I have a problem, right? And so if you can't hold people accountable, you're not going to be effective manager. Now, don't get me wrong. In the early days of my businesses, I did hold people accountable enough that I was very successful. But I hated doing it. It wasn't easy and it wasn't natural.
It wasn't your unique ability.
It was not. And so the first thing I delegated when I could were those things that I was not doing easily and well.
Right.
And I found people that did it easily and well because it was their unique ability. And that's really the whole concept of when you need to achieve something. The question isn't how do I do it? It's who can do it. And there's a standard I've always used in Lawyers of Purpose. Everyone in my organization, all of my employees have heard me say this. They know it. I say it all the time. And obviously our members hear it because it's just a belief. I have a 3-word phrase that I use all the time. And the 3-word phrase is it occurring? Is it occurring? Yeah. So what I tell people is, if you look at your life, look at any area of your life, it could be your personal life, it could be your work life. I'll keep it out of the personal realm for now, because that's confronting for people. So I'll put it in your work life and I'll say, is it occurring? And you'll say, what? Well, I'll say, is your marketing? Do you have all the leads you want to have? No, my God, I need marketing. So it's not occurring. So you know what that tells me, Lisa?
They got to go find a who.
They don't know how to do it.
They don't know how to do it.
Right. If they knew how to do it, it would be occurring.
Right.
Right. So there's an option the lawyer has at that point. He can go learn how to do it. So this our saying in the Lawyers of Purpose is, you got 3 options. You could buy it, you could rent it, or you can build it. Okay. So if you don't know how to market, or you think you do, again, here's my pause, you think you do. And how do we know if you do? What's the 3-word phrase?
You lost me. I was zoning, doing a time check.
You were at the beach.
Is it occurring?
Yes, thank you.
I was doing a time check for all you people behind the scenes laughing at me right now. I also have to make sure we stay on track, or else we could go down a really long rabbit hole.
Exactly. So what happens is, if it's not occurring, if you think you know how to do it and it's not occurring, you don't know how to do it. So you have 3 ways to do it. You can go buy someone, so you can go hire a marketing firm, an agency to do it, and they'll solve your problem, or they won't. If they don't solve your problem, it's not occurring, you'll go hire someone else. Or you can build it. You can take someone in your firm and get them to go learn how to do it. Or you could rent it. You can use a marketing firm, you could buy it, you could bring an in-house marketing person, or you can build that in-house marketing person, right? So that's the philosophy, right? If it's not occurring, then that's an insight that you don't know how to do it. So you have to figure out how to do it. So you can go out and rent it, get someone that knows how to do it, to consult with you to help you do it. You can go out and buy it, you can go hire an employee that knows how to do it, or you can build an internal employee and get them to learn how to do it and do it. So that's kind of the concept around that. So who, not how is, if it's not occurring, then you're not the who. So how do you get the who? You go find the who in each area of your practice.
Absolutely.
That makes sense?
And it doesn't happen overnight.
No, because, and part of the mindset, I think, also goes to what I would say are core values. So, at Lawyers of Purpose, I think we've talked about our core values in the past.
Yeah.
But open, curious, aware, collaborative, adaptable, and generous. So when you're open, that's a mindset, right? If you think you know everything, I mean, how many times have we met people, and I hate to say this, particularly lawyers, they're really smart people. They really are. Intellectually, they're in the top percentages of Americans. But when you find people that already know a lot and they don't want to know anymore, they tend to be closed down to new things, right? I mean, if I had a dollar for every time somebody said no to something I proposed, I'd be retired many years ago. Okay. And so that's really the thing that's important is really staying connected to what you do well, and really working and growing toward collaborating with other people who do the other areas well that you can. And then all within an organizational framework, right? So if I always tell the story, I had an organizational chart that had 8 boxes on it, but there was only 3 employees, me and 2 others. So me and the 2 others, 3 people went in 8 boxes. And then what we did was, as we began to hire the next employee, we said, okay, what box are they going to take and from who? And so the first boxes that were taken were from me, right? So that I could be freed up to do more money generating stuff. And then those next important employees got some things freed up. So that's the structure. Have your organizational structure have the mindset, be open and curious and aware on what you do well, what others do well. And here's the thing too, there's so many lawyers that are belligerent and arrogant. And I instill in all the attorneys I work with this statement, and it's been true for me. If you have an employee that really is horrible, it's on you. They're just people that wake up every day trying to do what they do. It's up to you to coach them into being a great employee or to help them become a great employee, right? The three things about mindset and success in my experience, this is what, you've heard me say for many years, at least, and our members know it well. Success and mindset comes around three things: attitude, skill, and knowledge. Does someone have the right attitude, right? Do they have the right skill, and do they have the knowledge? What I find is a lot of times people have a great attitude and great skills, they just don't have the knowledge. So that's your job to give them the knowledge. It's pretty hard to give someone a skill. That's something usually innate. Mm-hmm. And then the attitude, that's totally on them. The ones that suck the life out of you when you come into their space, and the ones that bring you energy when you come.
Absolutely.
So attitude, skill, and knowledge is mindset. So the final thing I think I would like to say here around mindset is, are you set? Is your mindset, are you set for success? Right? Mm-hmm. So another thing we've always taught here, and it's just become a core principle that I think is so important, is we've always found that there's three elements to success. One is, are you set for success? Well, three sets get you set for success. Number one is your mindset, your skill set, and your ability to goal set. So your mindset, we've been talking about this whole podcast. Are you open? Are you curious? Do you think you know it all? Or are you asking good, inquisitive questions? Are you aware of how you're occurring to others?
Right.
Are you aware of what's around you? Are you collaborative? Are you able to adapt as things change? Are you generous?
Right.
So mindset, skill set. What are you good at? What's your unique ability? Right. So we've talked about that. I think that's the who, not how. The third part really is about your goal set. And this, I will tell you, inside our organization and inside the organizations, the law firms we train, this has been the number one differentiator in the successful law firms, is their ability to do the third set, which is goal set. Goal set means, are you future oriented, right? Or are you past oriented? Are you reactive or are you proactive? Right? Does your life look at what's hitting you every day in the morning and just reacting to every email and every phone call? Or are you sitting down and knowing, in my world, I know everything I'm doing, not only this week and next week, but next month, next quarter, and next year. It's all designed and developed into a planning system so that I could set goals and then build the infrastructure to make small incremental progress toward each goal that I make. Some goals are short-term goals, some are medium-term goals, and some are long-term goals. And I think that's the biggest element of mindset, that people think they have it figured out. And I can tell you, in training over 5,000 lawyers and helping them grow their businesses, the number one thing they have told me that's made a differentiator is their ability to goal set, to get their planning done proactively, not reactively. They have time templates, right? To have benchmarks and KPIs that they're always aiming towards. So all of that comes from a mindset. Or the other mindset is, no, I just keep doing what I do. I just do harder, faster, better, faster, stronger, more of, Yeah. And then you burn out, right?
Right.
So
you don't want that.
Not sustainable.
It is. And that's the thing, we talk about all the great things and the tools that, anybody in the legal industry or anywhere, so you can always find the tools that you need to get you to a successful business, a successful practice, but you can't be everything, right? And so, if anything, the takeaway from all of this is acknowledge what you're good at, find your unique ability, find out where your weak points are, the things that you don't like. Dave, you don't like accountability. You need to get yourself an accountability cop out.
Well, I'm self-accountable. I don't
right, but I'm saying you don't like holding accountability.
Yeah,
so you acknowledged it, you faced the problem. And you went and you, as your practice and your business continued to grow, when you first started out, you pulled the people in that offsetted you, that balanced.
I had to rely on other people.
And you know what? But the key thing that we talked about today was the core values, how important it is.
Well, the most important thing is I look back over my life at the people that I've had that have been involved in me at high level, including several partners. We did well business-wise, but why we ultimately separated was we really didn't have the same core values. I'm not saying theirs were wrong and mine were right. They were just different. Our focus was on different things, and so I think that's mindset. I think the other message here is coaching. What are we all doing, right? To keep right. Think about that little fat kid who went around the track. If I was telling the coach then that I didn't need to run, if I was telling people that I knew how to play football and I wasn't listening and taking instruction and guidance along the way, I don't think I would have been an all-star and the captain, a few years later.
Yeah.
So it's about that openness, the willingness, the abundant mentality instead of scarcity. Scarcity mentality says the more you have, the less I have. Abundant mentality says there's so much in the world, we can all have everything we want. Let's help each other get it.
Yeah.
And that's really the mindset that we focus on here, and that I subscribe to and really recommend anyone to subscribe to have really, I guess I'll say, a blessed life.
Yeah. Well, that's a great way to wrap it up. And thank you for every great conversation again. For all of you out there listening, again, this is the Lawyers with Purpose Practice Success podcast. And to get a full list of all of our episodes, you can always go to lawyerswithpurpose.com.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Practice Success Podcast. Visit www.lawyerswithpurpose.com/podcast to listen to other episodes and to subscribe. We'll see you next time.